Welcome to Haltech Elite NSP Training Part 38. In this training module, we're going to be exploring setting up and working with our other fuel corrections available in our NSP software. So this is going to be things like a baro fuel correction or a generic fuel correction. There's a lot of different options. We're going to discuss why you might want to implement it and how to properly set up and calibrate the table. Without further wait, let's jump in so we can check this out. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at working with our fuel corrections once again with our Haltech Elite using our NSP software. Now, in the previous tutorial, we looked at two of the most fundamental fuel correction tables that we have, the engine coolant temperature and our air temperature. Air temperature allows us to scale for the density of the air as it's changing entering our engine. We know that we need to go and account for that because it can affect our fueling delivery. Now, we also have our engine coolant temperature, which is going to help us overcome a wall wetting effect on a cold engine. So both of those are absolutely needed on any engine. We have to have those type of compensations in place for the engine to run consistent in its fueling. Now, we do have additional fuel correction tables that we can use in very specific situations if we want to do corrections based on something like map pressure or baro pressure. We can even enable a generic correction table for something that we want to go in a custom program to have a fueling offset from our main fuel table or main airflow registration estimation tables here. So we know if speed density, this is going to be the estimation of airflow. If you're injection time based or fuel flow rate based, that's going to be purely going and dealing with a fueling table. But either way, these compensation tables will offset whatever is coming out of our air and fuel modeling or just straight from our fuel table. So let's take a look at these examples that we have here, a couple different options we have and we can enable, and we'll talk about how to populate values in them if we need, and then also dealing with working the tables in, working these compensations in to how we're calibrating and tuning so we get a better idea of working with them. Now, you don't have to enable any of these correction factors or tables that we're going to be working with, but in some situations it might make sense. So let's take a look at what we're going to be finding here. So I'm going to move from my fuel tuning window over into my main window, which is linked to my navigation tree, which I can go right here. And if I go into my fuel tuning, we jump in here and we go down here and we take a look. We're going to have a corrections area. Now, in the corrections area, we're going to find that we have a few things toggled on: coolant temp correction, air temp correction, and post-start correction. These should be on in any calibration file that we're dealing with. Those are just the fundamentals, very most basic things we have to have in order to make sure the fueling delivery is proper for our engine. But we do have all these other options here. So let's start to run through and talk about some of these. We'll just go in order going down this list. The very last one here I'm not going to cover. This is fuel comp correction. This is specific to flex fuel. We're going to have a dedicated tutorial taking a look at doing flex fuel tuning later in the training course. So we're going to just not take a look at that option right now, but let's go work our way from the top. Overall correction here, if I toggle it on, notice here that the correction percentage is going to allow me to edit this field. The overall correction will literally do just that. Apply a percentage of fuel offset overall, idle, part throttle, wide open throttle. So if we're finding that we're off by a certain percent overall, this is an easy way to do an overall scaling. If you want to go and add 5%, real quickly, instead of jumping into your table here and offsetting it by 5%, you can go right here and it'll have the exact same effect. A little bit easier to work with. I don't like to work with the overall correction table. Typically, if I'm finding that something is wrong and it's off by 5 or 10 or 20% globally, there's a reason for it and there's something that's not in line or not right. But we do have this option here. If you want to do just, again, a quick and dirty scaling, you can do that for that parameter right there. Let me toggle that off. The next option here is going to be something that I typically don't use unless I'm in an alpha N strategy with Boost. We will have a dedicated tutorial talking about alpha N as its own subject, and I will be getting in heavily what this map correction table is going to do, but let me go ahead and toggle this on. With the map correction table, this is going to allow us to apply a percentage of offset in our fueling delivery based on the manifold pressure changing. Let's look here. If we go into our corrections window, we can see expanding out. Let's go to map correction. Now we can see this map correction table here has been populated. This will look at the engine vacuum or the positive manifold pressure, also looking at engine speed, and allow us to have that multiplication type of effect. So what this is going to do, whatever is coming from our main area here for our airflow or fuel model, it's going to then multiply that by the percentage that we place in our table here. Now, we don't normally need to deal with this as a means to compensate fueling based on manifold pressure, because if we look in our fuel tuning, the fuel load table here is based on manifold pressure. It's already included. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.